lovely Andy, Kerri Green has joined us to celebrate the 40th anniversary. And Steph, Martha Plimpton. And let's give a loving boo, boo for Jake Fratelli, Robert Davi. How happy we are. Boo, boo, with love. This is so cool.
Don't beat him up because of his politics.
He served his time. He served his.
You're right.
Fratellis are out now.
He's free. We all get a second chance.
How about for the new president of SAG, Sean Astin?
Well, I am very happy and grateful that I'm a child of the 80s, when everything was just so much more special. Back to the Future and Gremlins and
The Cold War.
Return of the Jedi, and of course the Goonies. I mean, summers were about these event experiences, and not only was the Goonies an event, it was an adventure for all of us. So gang, I wanted to start by asking, as kids we all kind of had dreams of having adventures like the Goonies. What wild real-life adventures or trouble did you all get into as little kids? Not talking about teenagers, little kids.
So well, as a newly elected, I wonder if I should share, but I got in trouble because I stole a bunch of little Smurf toys. I didn't. I was
On the Goonies set?
He said just like in
When you were kids in the neighborhood. or at home.
on the
we had
Goonies set, I
Smurf
stole the
toys.
balloons, and basically I'm a clever man. No, I stole these little Smurfs, and my dad, John Astin, original Gomez and Yap. He and his writing partner were doing a pilot about a homeless man who lived in the kind of the alleyway, and this kid who was sort of a punk kid, and he was robbing from the Radio Shack or whatever. And then they kind of, he's trying to escape, and then they become friends, and it's like unlikely friendship of these two people. So my dad was doing research, and he wanted to understand like what little kids do when they get in trouble. And so me and my friend Jeremy were there, and he said, guys, I want to talk to you. And you're like, oh geez. Well, we were little. I don't even know if we were 11, 10 years old or something like that. And he sits me down and he goes, is there something you want to tell me? Oh. He didn't know anything. He was just trying to see what it would take, to provoke, and I'm sitting there and looking at Jeremy, and Jeremy's looking at me, and I'm like, well, do you mean the Smurfs? And he goes, tell me about the Smurfs. So I agree, I copped to 10, and Jeremy's looking at me like, shut up, what are you doing? So then they separate us. And I go first, and I can't remember how many I admitted to, but then he says, Jeremy, why don't you come in? And we separated. And this was, there's actually a thing, the something thief theory. You know what this theory is? What's it? The two thieves theory, yeah. We were, and there's a grid, and the top two. Yeah, exactly. And we were the bottom right, like the worst possible example of like turning on each other. Yeah. So, and then when after it was over, my dad was like, you have to return the Smurfs. I was like, okay. And you have to apologize, and so on and so forth. So, that's a trouble.
So Sean Astin is a real life Gargamel. You're stealing the Smurfs and bringing them who knows where.
Whatever.
But I'm fine. Sorry. Okay, Corey, I can't imagine you got into any trouble as a child. I'm sure you were just an angel.
Those are not mutually exclusive.
Anything come to mind?
To be honest, actually, I didn't get in a lot of trouble because I was pretty heavily guarded. I had parents. I was always working. First of all, I was always on set. But if we're gonna go to thieving stories, I never stole anything. But once, kind of a similar situation. Well, first of all, I had a weird upbringing because my mom actually taught me to steal. She would say, take that silverware or take that candle from that restaurant. I don't know, just weird random stuff. She'd be like, take it, put it in your, and I'd be like, what the? So yeah, it was a weird upbringing. But the funny thing with that little notation is that, so the first time I had the idea on my own, which was I wanted these Star Wars baseball cards at Kmart. I was 5 years, 6 years old at Kmart, and I wanted these baseball cards, and I asked, and she said no. So I said, well, she has me steal other stuff, I might as well just take these and put them on in my pocket, right? So I put them in my pocket. It was one time I ever stole anything, and I remember she found out because they like dropped out of my pants or something. I think they were in my pants and they dropped out, and then I got so scared I peed myself. And she goes, now you're gonna go tell the security what you did. And I'm like, you what? I thought you were training me here. Like, we were like, Bonnie and Clyde. This was a thing. But no, she ratted me right out.
You're on your own, kid.
To that bottom corner. That was me and my mom, I guess. But anyway, so anyway, she made me go and report myself to the security guard at Kmart, which I did, and I didn't get arrested. So there you go.
You still have your Star Wars cards?
No, they didn't let me keep them.
They all tragic.
They took them back.
Kerri, Martha, any confessions from your childhood that you'd like to share with us?
This is a little bit more, I think, of a typical childhood thing. I don't know if this is at all interesting, but there was a whole bunch of new houses going up in our neighborhood, and so we would play on those, in the foundations and the structures, and back then, they weren't surrounded by fences. Back then, there was no cameras. We would climb, we were on ladders, we would, the construction workers would make ladders to get up to the second floor, which was not framed in. So we had adventures that were a little bit, I want to say Goonie-like, except that because everything had been clear cut, it's so completely muddy, and we were there one time where the mud was coming up to here. We played all day. It was me and my sister and my best friend Jessica and her sister. And by the time we got back to my house, we were covered from head to toe, completely covered in mud. And my mother said, "Why don't you go to Jessica's mom's house?"
Total Goonies story. Totally.
You were doing parkour in E.T. I got it.
Exactly.
Martha, were you an angel?
Yeah, mine's a little unusual, and it's a little sort of almost Goonies-like. When I was a kid, about 10, my family was invited to take part in this sort of like cultural exchange program where we got to China had just opened up, the Iron Curtain around China. It was 1980, 1981. And we went on this trip, which was sort of like a student exchange trip where some kids from America went to China and some kids from China came to America. And anyway, on the way to China, there's some things happened in China that I'm not telling you about. But on the way to China, we stopped for a couple of weeks in Egypt. And so I was there with I was the youngest, and the rest of the kids were more like teenagers. And we had a guy who offered to take us in the middle of the night into the tombs that were not open to the public, that had just been excavated, that were just beginning to be excavated.
You're talking about the Terracotta Warriors?
No, that's in China. This was in Egypt.
Oh, in Egypt, sorry.
And so in the middle of the night, after the full day of sightseeing, a bunch of us went on horseback on Egyptian stallions, riding into the desert, and then we would stop at various sites and climb or slide, or some of the entryways to the tombs were really narrow and small and dark, and we'd have to scrooch down in there.
She had a real Goonies.
It was a real Goonies story.
It was a real, actual Goonies adventure, no lie. It was really amazing and unbelievable, unforgettable. something I will never forget as long as I live.
Okay, and I told you guys about mud.
No.
Both stories.
Hey, enough mud, you can make a pyramid.
It was highly illegal. I mean, we were totally, like, we had to pay off the guards, you know, because we weren't allowed to go in where we were going, and it was really illegal.
Respect.
Sure. Did you find a Lou Gehrig baseball card in there by any chance? No?
No, nothing like that. Just a couple of mummies, you know.
Yeah, sure.
That's it.
Every day.
You know.
Robert, what about you? A troublemaker when you were a kid? I can imagine.
See how he says that before? Me and Corey, troublemakers right away. He pinpoints us that way. No, I wasn't really not a troublemaker. I was strong-willed, and I didn't have much. I grew up a little different era in the 50s. I'm, 50s and 60s. So a gentler kind of growing up on Long Island and New York. But we did have, I put it into the film, me and Joey, as a matter of fact. Me and my cousins, everything revolved around food in an Italian family. And the pepperoni pizza, come on, he's eating my pepperoni and we throw it at each other. That actually happened with me and my cousins. We had the pizza on the stove, and you're not supposed to, don't touch the pizza. And we snuck in, and we did this, and we did that, and then the other cousin came in. Ma, he's eating my pepperoni. You want your pepperoni? And we threw the pie at each other. There was that, and then one other quick one is around food. My dad used to love chocolate, Hershey's chocolate bars, right? He had a big Hershey. Remember those big Hershey? All right. He'd put those in the freezer, and he'd leave them there. He wouldn't open it, but I'd open the freezer to get something other, and it'd be there for weeks, for months. And then every once in a while it would be opened, and there would be one piece taken. And then for another couple of months, nothing. And I figured, why does he have this chocolate bar in the refrigerator? So I opened up the chocolate thing one time, and I took a piece of chocolate, and like chunk. You start eating something, that's it. I started eating more of the chocolate, thinking he'd never find it. And then he would come to me and go, weeks later, have you been eating my chocolate? No, Daddy. No, it wasn't me. Maybe it was Michelle or Yvonne or I don't know, Dad. You didn't eat the chocolate. No. What happens is, weeks later, I go in, I take the chocolate. I'm eating the chocolate, and my mouth starts to burn like crazy. It's on fire. And we're watching the television in the basement, and he comes upstairs from the basement. I'm in the kitchen drinking water. He goes, "Oh, you don't eat the chocolate, huh? Your mouth burning?"
So what do you do? He put chili peppers all over?
He put cayenne. He put some hot shit on the chocolate.
Smart dad, huh?
Bro, wait a minute. One time, my mother was yelling at me. This is how genius he was. Anyway, and back in the day, you punch the kid in the arm. The father would do that, all right? But you knew that they loved you. It wasn't abusive.
What's his address? We'll get him arrested.
He died at 55 years old. He was a, Navy veteran. His ship was torpedoed. Anyway, so I was running around the house. This is on Long Island, to get away from him. Bobby, they call me Bobby. Come here. And I'm running away, and all of a sudden my father, and he falls on the floor. And I'm 25 feet away. Daddy, you son of a bitch! Oh. There you go.
So the point being is that Robert was not a troublemaker at all.
I was an individual kid, but I wasn't a troublemaker. I didn't.
You just made me think, though, when you were talking about the pizza, there's a moment where you moralize in the movie. Well, we're going to kill each other over the pizza.
Over the pepperoni.
Yeah, over the pepperoni.
Let's kill each other over the pepperoni.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're like a philosopher.
We said that. We said that with the cousins. Come on, let's kill each other over the pepperoni.
You guys didn't know Goonies was a documentary.
What did you say?
Documentary.
No. That was.
Wasn't a documentary.
I mean, you just killed a guy and put him in the ORV or whatever, put him in the freezer, and now you're like a humanist. Let's not kill each other. Pepperoni.
Well, that was what was fun about the Fratellis. Remember, Ma, I'm beginning to like this kid.
They had a sweet side.
I want to share with you guys, I have a million questions, but it's about you guys today. So who has a question for the gang here? You're the first person I saw with the camera.
Well, thank you. My question is, how was it like working with Mama Fratelli and John Matuzak since they're no longer with us? What were they like to work with?
They were incredible. They were wonderful people. Matuzak, I used to tease the shit out of because he had all the prosthetics on. So at lunchtime sometimes, we would be eating hot food or something, and he'd have to sit through a straw. And I would go to him, I go, John, you want a bite? Bastard, get away from me. And then he would say to me, because I knew it was itchy underneath the shit. And I go, oh man, it feels so good to scratch. And Ann Ramsey, me and Joey tormented the shit out of her, but she loved it, and she was the sweetest woman you could imagine.
She was
So I've
so
heard.
sweet, she
So
was
I've heard.
so lovely. Remember that day we went over to her house for dinner, and what was the occasion for that? Do you guys know?
It was a Thursday.
Was it Thursday?
Thursday.
And she made this incredible meal for all of us, and her husband was such a sweetheart
Logan.
too.
Logan.
He was an actor
On soap
also.
operas.
That's
They were both in Scrooged.
Yeah.
They were both in Scrooged.
I sort of think, you know, from an acting family that about the golden years and what your life, you know, once you get to a certain age, what it's like. And Annie and Logan were these older acting couple. They were an older acting couple. And the dressing rooms we had on the Warner Brothers lot were these little huts, these little miniature houses. And, you know, some of them were tiny and others, if you're really lucky, you had a porch. There were a couple of them had like a little porch. And I remember a vehicle waiting to take them home, and they would sit on the little porch with their Bloody Marys, like as the sun was setting. And I just remember thinking, that's a great end of your time way to, yeah, I love that.
Wonderful ritual.
They were only 50, by the way. Times have changed. Yeah.
She really didn't want to slap me in the film. She didn't want to slap me, and she would pull it a little bit. And one time, and we egged her on and said, "Good, just go for it, just slap me," and she did. We used to drive her crazy, but she was the sweetest woman, and we had a great time working with her.
You know, I mentioned the movies of the 80s, Mr. Spielberg's films, E.T. and Gremlins, and there was always such detail put into decorating the children's rooms, you know, with the Star Wars figures and posters on the wall, and we saw that in Goonies as well. I had a Lee Majors poster in my room, and I got to meet him yesterday, which is so cool. I was curious, how did you guys decorate your bedrooms when you were kids? What kind of posters and toys?
Oh, man. Well, first of all, my walls were covered floor to ceiling with posters of the Police, the band, the because I was like, and Prince.
You know, that's still credible today. Those aren't embarrassing.
I know. It's pretty cool. Yeah. But also, I remember because we were on location so much at like the Thunderbird Motel, this very luxurious place where we lived for months and months. Well, we decorated our hotel rooms the same way, you know, and you know, we get posters and whatever magazines, and I mean, I remember my room in the Thunderbird had a Prince poster in it, remember? And it was just, you know, kids will take hang their art or wherever their heroes anywhere. But yeah, my room was covered in Police and Prince posters, and then and later graffiti. I spray painted all over my bedroom walls, and it was not a good idea.
Who else? Sean Corey, did you have the Farrah Fawcett poster up, or what was on your walls when you were a kid?
You're thinking of Farrah Fawcett because you met Lee Majors yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. Very good.
I'm like sitting here fighting to remember what was on my walls. I honestly.
Or if you collected anything.
I'll tell
if
you
were
what,
collectors.
I wasn't allowed to put anything on my walls. Really? Yeah, my mom wouldn't let it happen. She wouldn't let me put anything on my walls. But my cousin had an Olivia Newton-John poster
Oh,
on
yeah.
his bed, which I would sometimes ask to borrow. Not the poster, the bed.
For 15 minutes.
Sorry. Yeah, I was 10. There was no.
I apologize. I was
Looking like, oh, I had horses or something.
I just thought she was cute.
in the way back to the right, in the red, yes.
Hi, hello, my name is Bernadette. My question is, would you guys be willing and on board to do a Goonies too? Because I think we all would want one.
Oh, not about that. As a matter of fact.
Well, I always joke, first of all, look, these guys know more about whatever's happening, if anything's happening, than I do. But I always joke that, you know, if they've got the money, I've got the time. You know what I mean? But
Not that much of a joke.
But yeah, I mean, of course, I'm sure all of us would be willing to, you know, but they gotta pay up. That's just the facts. That's just the facts, Jack.
Good story.
I don't do this as a charity, you know?
We have done quite a bit of Goonie charity.
Yeah, over the years, yeah. And I, you know, I'm ready for a payday. Thanks very much. I got an elderly mother to support. And, you know, I got bills. And so yeah, I would do it totally. If you got another 10 million hanging around.
You're gonna leave the negotiations.
That's right.
I don't know. Martha says it's right. That's all I know.
Sure.
Well, what's the less panicking?
Joking, really.
I have an S on the end of million, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Millions.
Yeah.
Listen, if you ask The Who why they're touring again in 80, they'll all answer the same thing. We're in it for the money. So.
I think they finally, the word that I'm getting from
Yeah,
close to the
deal, what's the
moment
scoop?
is that they sort of finally understand that the audience wants to see the original cast.
Absolutely.
I think, in addition to the great sums of money, I also think that we, you know, for 40 years, people have been coming up to us, signing pictures and posters and telling stories about how they played Goonies in their house, and you know, so I think you'd want to, and there was some talk about like, oh, maybe, you know, maybe you'll ruin it if you make it again. And my opinion is you can't ruin the original. I don't care what they remake, it's wonderful. If it sucks, it sucks, you know, who cares? You still got the original. So, but
Let's not say remake, let's say sequel.
well, whatever, yeah, I mean.
Sequel, right
We-
guys? Sequel?
Sequel, exactly. So I can't imagine that what the fans feel, we feel. There's no question about that. So
We are all one. Yes. Yes.
you're not kidding.
Thank you so much for the original Goonies. We have lots.
I want to ask for.
We're all Goonies in here, right?
All Goonies.
For those of you who have kids, what is their reaction to seeing the film?
Kerri?
Okay, my kids hate when I watch with them because I can't help myself but say stuff like, oh, that was the day that Dick yelled at me, or that was the day that, you know, Martha and Corey got in a fight in the classroom, or, you know, that kind of thing. So they think it's funny, but they just think it's mom. It's weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's surreal.
Yeah. I know when my daughter was really little, like 2 or something, my husband was like flipping through the stations and Lucas came on and she heard my voice, came running in, and it was very confusing. Yeah. So.
I have this recollection of my kids being sort of proud and protective.
How so?
Well, like, you know, that's my dad.
Yeah.
You know? No, they're not like that to me. To me, they're like, you're an idiot. You know? But with other people, if they're in a convention setting, which is rare, but sometimes they would visit or out and about, they just strike this kind of like, I don't know, they're like little sentries. You know? Like they're proud of the legacy of it. I'm sure they think I'm sure I've got, no, Dad, you were so cute. You're so cute, Dad. I think they mean it.
Yeah, but you see, that's because they're girls. If my son was like, oh, Dad, you're so cute, I'd be like, what is wrong with you? But my kid, well, thank you. You're cute too, Sean. But my kid, you know, it was different because I was working on like the Lost Boys sequel, and he was in the trailer. You know what I mean? So he actually was part of it. He got to see that whole thing. Like, he was there for Lost Boys 2, he was there for Lost Boys 3. So he got to kind of be a little bit in that world. But when I would show him Goonies, it was weird because like he liked it, but he didn't like it like you would expect a boy kid to like it. You know what I mean? Like you would think that he'd be like watching it every day, but he really liked what was that Adam Sandler movie with the gumballs? That was his favorite. Bedtime Stories. Bedtime Stories. Thank you. He loved bedtime stories. He loved the Wizard of Oz. He loved the original Willy Wonka and the remake with Johnny Depp. He liked all that stuff. But Goonies,
you was
for
like,
whatever reason,
it's all right, Dad.
just
It's like your
Dad.
best work.
Right. It's like it's another movie. It's another movie that no big deal. But I do remember a great moment. I'll share this with you. We did the Empire magazine shoot, and I got to bring him when he was a little boy. Oh my God, it was so sweet. I had this picture, and I don't have it anymore. I'm so sad. But I had this beautiful black and white picture. There was this moment where Steven, like, gets down like this in front of Zen. His name is Zen, and he was 5 at the time. And, like, he kneels down to, like, talk to him face to face. And I had this great shot. It was like a 50-50, great shot of the two of them facing each other in black and white, and they're like staring into each other's eyes very passionately, talking about whatever.
Like Steven's trying to get advice on the next.
Yeah, right. Or he's telling him, one day, this is how you're going to direct this thing. No. It was great. That was great.
Well, as a Fratelli, I had a whole different experience. The kids love Goonies. I got 8 kids. The youngest being 6. And 6 girls and 2 boys.
And he's only 95, so you can do the math. But he's.
Do I look 95? Have I changed that much?
No.
All right. So let me tell you. Wait till you're my age. Bust your ass. So anyway, what happens is
He
this.
still scares me. Don't worry.
What happens is this. But although we were made Goonies by Sean at an event one time, he sworn us in as Goonies. Just so you know.
Yeah.
So the Fratellis are now part of the Goonies. But real quick. So my daughter, thank you. My daughters, I had 3 at the time. I come home from, I was doing a show called Profiler in the mid-90s, NBC, played Bailey Malone. And I come home from 11 o'clock at work, whatever it is, come home, California living here. And my daughters are on the couch. And there's like 7 boys around the couch. And I come in. What's your name, Tommy? You don't touch my daughter, you understand? What's your name, Stephen? Stay away from my daughter. And I knew, and my daughters are there like this. They're enjoying this moment. And I go, you understand? And then finally, after the last kick, my daughter goes, Dad, they're just fans of Goonies, that's why they're here. That's a
Thank
cute
you for
story.
playing the bad guy, because that's exactly what they wanted to see.
I knew that.
Who else?
I remember there's a moment when my daughter had a boyfriend, and I was like this. She's like, Dad, this is whatever his name is. I was like, how you doing? Good to meet you. Careful.
With a Goonies hat right here, I saw you raising your hand. Yes, you.
I could not pick my favorite moment from that movie, but
Who are you asking?
You know what I always say.
Oh, all of it. I know. I can tell you what Sean's gonna say. I already know.
I get to kiss the girl.
You got to kiss the girl.
So only twice. Stephen was very efficient with that one. Got it? Okay, great.
So, like the Goonies,
My
finding
favorite
the
part, by
pirate-
the way, was that I didn't have to kiss Sean.
No, I was gonna say, like
Yeah.
the Goonies finding like the pirate treasure. You all became Hollywood stars, and I was curious when you got some Hollywood star paychecks. Was there anything unusual or extravagant you splurged on? What was something you bought that was a little crazy? to celebrate, hey, I'm doing well, I made
Can
it.
I speak on behalf of both Sean and I? Neither one of us got any money from Goonies to spend, I promise you.
None of us
Well,
did.
Okay, none of us, there you
My
go.
favorite money I ever got was working at the movie theater.
Oh,
Yeah, because there's a rule, the Coogan rule, like they put your money in a bank account. Like I got $10,000 when I did an after-school special when I was 8. And that goes into an account that and the parents can take 2/3 of it. My mom was.
Yeah, a third goes in the bank account.
Third, yeah. So, but my mom made a point of pride because she was a child actor and they absconded with her money. So she was like, my son's gonna have all of his money. But that's like, might as well be 100 years later. So I worked at the movie theater. I remember getting like a $130 check. I thought I was like Rockefeller. I'm gonna take somebody out for dinner. Yeah. I don't know. I've been very like reasonable and responsible. I think the thing I've spent the most amount of money on that's like outside the norm is like DoorDash. I'm pretty sure the reason I, have to
He's
keep
an
working-
honorary Jew. He's an honorary Jew. I'm a real Jew, so I don't spend anything.
well, besides that question to ask about moments you ended up like, how did I end up in this situation? A Hollywood party, an award show where you're surrounded by your own idols. Can you recall a moment like that where you're like, pinch me, how did I end up here?
Why are you looking at me?
You're gonna have to
You
get
know
one.
everybody. You know everybody.
No, I don't. No, I don't. You guys know, well, whatever. I don't. Oh, gosh. Well, bring it around to Prince.
Yeah.
I went to a taping of SNL on Saturday Night Live, and Prince was a musical guest, and so afterwards at the after party, which they always have, which goes like well into the morning the next day, he was there, and I got to meet him, and he played some music, and that was really cool, and that was totally amazing. And but yeah, I feel like especially when you're doing this from such a young age, it's a different thing. It's not like it's not like you're like it's just kind of part of your world. You don't
You don't get excited anymore.
Yeah,
I got one.
It's just, you get excited, but it's part of your world. You know what I mean? So it's very unusual to get like starstruck or feel like wow, I really made it. Like there isn't any moment like that because it's all part of a process of living.
Interesting.
There was for me. There was for me. It was Paul McCartney. I'll admit.
That's a good one. And Joni Mitchell a couple weeks ago was a big one. Yeah.
When you meet people like that you just feel lucky because they're still alive, you're still alive, and you get that moment that you never thought you would get, and you're like, oh yeah,
I'll give you one. I grew up no family entertainment. My dad worked 3 jobs, my mom was a mom, blah, 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 Long Island, New York. And I had a dream as a young kid. They talked about decorating your room. My room was also the TV room. And my mom would watch $1 Million Movie, the black and white, and I'd watch Humphrey Bogart films. And she'd tell me about this actor, and Marlon Brando, and that guy. And that's why I grew up that way. And then I started to sing. They found out in high school, and I won awards for acting and singing. Now, in an Italian family, there were 2 major figures. The Pope and Sinatra. And not necessarily in that order. So I'm a young kid. I went to Hofstra University on a drama scholarship. Then I went to Manhattan to study with Stella Adler. And I got fired as a waiter from Fiorello's, which was across from Lincoln Center. And it lit a fire under my ass to go get acting gigs, because Stella didn't want us to do that for 3 years, and it was at the end. And there was a film going around New York at the time. Sinatra was doing his first film in 7 or 8 years. His mother's favorite book. And he was producing it with Columbia. And I said to the agent, because back in the day, you would have you'd freelance with different agents. And the agent I was working with, I said, hey, did you submit me?
Robert, we only have 20 minutes for this whole thing.
You like the story?
Yes!
So what happens is, anyway, what happens is, he got me off track. It would have been finished in 2 minutes. I said, did you put me for Jesus? It's all cast, Sinatra's using his friends. Anyway, I go up there, and I wind up getting a part with Sinatra, who became my good friend. And that was like, Sinatra? So there you go.
Amazing.
Do we get a note or two? Come on.
By the way, he can sing. He can sing just like him.
Okay, let's hear.
No.
You guys want to hear him sing?
Come on!
Bimba dagli occhi vieni di Maria. That's what a Goonies crowd will get.
Oh, Frank, come on, you can do Frank.
I know I'm not gonna do it now.
All right. He does it very good. He does it very
Check
good.
my album out, Davi Sings Sinatra on Amazon. I could.
There you go.
Corey's got a new album that's kicking ass. You have a new album.
I do. It's called Evolutions 22 for 4. If you get a chance, check it out.
Let's take it home here. We just heard about meeting Sinatra, meeting Prince, meeting Paul McCartney. Sean, I saw you shaking your head that you had a
I
moment.
just had a quick one. So my brother-in-law was a personal assistant to several very, famous, like a couple of pop stars, and he was working with this one artist, and I never really met them with him. He did his thing, but people think in Los Angeles everything is Beverly Hills or like Hollywood, but most of Los Angeles is not like that. But this particular time, I was in Beverly Hills proper, and it was outside of Creative Artists Agency, CAA. It's got this sort of famous curved building. And I can't remember if I was making a movie or what I was doing there, but as I'm walking around on Little Santa Monica Boulevard, a car goes and pulls right next to me, and it's Steven Tyler. He's like, "Rudy's the greatest movie ever made." I was a little, I thought, thanks. Okay, all right, wow.
Oh my God, that's great. I love that story. Who else? Right here, the woman with yes.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I.
Hi.
State your name.
John Kotrides.
You're so good. You solemnly swear that I
So that I
will abide
will abide
the Goondock faith.
the Goondock faith.
Congratulations, you're all good.
Let's keep it going.
Hey, hold on. We did not hear Kerri Green's celebrity story. We need to hear her story. Come on, you got one.
You can hear a pin drop now.
I,
The Pope.
yes, and that's
Corey Haim.
I'm so much on the spot right now. This is the crazy thing. So I was like literally cheerleader in New Jersey. You asked about like all this money, like they gave us per diem and they told us it was gonna be $75. So we did not know it was $75 per day for me and my mother. We were like, oh my God, like everybody's coming from a different perspective. And I remember we were in Astoria, we were in some, little store, like a stationery, and I was literally looking at the Archie comics, I was obsessed with, and I go up to my mom, and I think I had 3, and I was like, which one should I get? And she was like, pulls up the per diem, she's like, get them all! Like, it was just so funny.
It's so sweet.
It's so ridiculous, but the set was like that. Like, I think you guys know, like the list of people who visited was insane. And so, from Michael Jackson and Clint Eastwood and just like, so every single day there was this moment of, what the heck are we doing here? It really was, like a fish out of water thing.
Dan Aykroyd, Cyndi Lauper, Pee Wee Herman, Harrison Ford, Michael Jackson. Am I missing anybody?
Well, you could list all the wrestlers.
Oh yeah, all the wrestlers.
Roddy Piper and yeah.
Everybody came to our set. It was so cool.
They wanted to see us and they settled for looking at the pirate ship.
They didn't know we existed, okay? It was about the sets, but
Oh, I've got one. So I'm walking to the commissary from stage 16, which is the pirate ship set, and a golf cart pulls up, and there's this gorgeous woman in very short shorts who looks at me and says, "Do you want to ride?" To which I responded, why, yes, I do. It was Catherine Bach. It was Daisy, too.
Dude!
I went to the commissary, and everybody's looking at me like, what the hell?
Was she in the General Lee or no? No, it was the golf cart.
The golf cart painted as the General Lee. No.
Amazing, incredible. Who would have thought?
That was pretty good, though. She gave me a little kiss on my cheek.
Yes, I'm sure I'm not the only one in here that enjoyed watching you on Stranger Things, and I was curious, have you noticed the difference between how kids were on set in the 80s and how kids are on set 40 years later?
Yeah, they were professional.
Oh.
they were like, they're business savvy, very, I think when any of these people come onto the set for Goonies, I don't know about you guys, but I was like mouth open, oh my God, like nervous and shaking.
Yeah.
These kids, literally the Pope could come on there and they'd be, hey, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for stopping by. The one little boy who played Will, there's a scene with him being possessed by the demon or whatever, and we're in the hospital, and and I'm just standing there like just a witness to what's happening, and we're rehearsing. There's no crew on the set. The cameras are still in the trucks, and the director says, well, let's work through this a little bit. And on a 10 scale of energy, he comes out at about a 4,050. And I remember saying like, hey man, you gotta, protect yourself, protect your voice, like, you gotta, but they were all in. They were all in, every take, all the time, and they were sweet kids, and, I was instantly worried about them, because you wonder what's gonna happen, and yet somehow they all seemed like they were level and rock solid, and yeah, it was pretty great.
And still having fun though, the professional but still having fun, able to be kids.
They knew that, well, I came in the second season.
You're right.
So they had gone through this glow up,
That's right,
first
yeah.
season thing where they were on every show and won every award and every newspaper and magazine and whatever. And so they were a little bit, they were kind of at cruising altitude, and I wouldn't say they weren't having fun, but they just looked like professional performers that like anybody else.
Good to hear. Okay, I think we've already done almost an hour. We have time for one more question. The first hand I saw is the woman there. Yes, in the gray. Grace, yes, you. Hi.
I just have a question. I'd love to hear how you all feel about the legacy that you've left in this film and how influential and important it's been to so many people's lives for 40 years.
Fabulous final question. Perfect. Thank you. I think that was a good question.
I think it's absolutely amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, when I said this before, but when the movie came out, I mean, it did well, but it wasn't a smash hit. It didn't it wasn't like E.T. You know what I mean? Like with E.T. took over the universe. So and it made a big splash, but then it kind of went away sort of rapidly.
It was number one, but for like a few weeks.
A little while. It just wasn't a huge blockbuster. But the amazing thing is that it came out at the same time as the advent of video and blockbuster video rentals and also cable. So it's amazing because it may not have done amazing business in the theaters for months and months, but it went on to have this slow rolling life that just has built and built and built over the years, and it's just absolutely astonishing. And like Corey and Sean alluded to, we didn't make a whole ton of money on this movie at all, by any means. And so to see it go on and on and on and have this, this incredible life for generations is just amazing. And then to see all the merchandise, I'm like, where is my money? but it really is absolutely amazing. And to meet all of you, and then to meet your kids, and in many cases your grandkids and everything, and to know that this movie has that effect on kids born literally 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, it's just astonishing. It blows my mind. And I'm just so incredibly grateful. And I honestly can't believe it. For a while, in my 20s, I was like, Jesus, enough with the Goonies thing. But now that it's it's gone on for so long. You see, it's not just a what do you call a fad or a thing. It's literally like an American classic, and I find that just to be so moving.
I'd like to weigh in on that briefly. With Corey's indulgence. So, I have a friend of mine, his name is J-Ax, and he's a very big star in Italy. And he was in New York one time, I was doing a music video for him. And he says, Robert, I hope you don't mind. He says, but can I show you something? I says, yes. And he lifts up his pant leg. Goonies. He says, you have to see something. You have to realize Goonies is more important to me than War and Peace. He says, Italy is the Goonies of Europe. And the thing of it is as it's said in the film, and I was supposed to do the film, I've said this before, I don't want to bore anyone if you heard it. I was supposed to do Rambo. And Goonies was offered, and I wound up doing Goonies. And when I first heard the script Goonies, I go, what the? It's a Goonie. I said, I'm a Rambo guy. Well, over the years, we're all Goonies. Goonies has created something where you have a young group of kids that save their parents out of a difficult time. And this continues to happen in the world and in the country. And I think the uncreated conscience of my race is what James Joyce said one time about something. And that's where Goonies touches on a mythical level that's beyond the moment. And it's become that kind of classic film. And I think the guys can weigh in on
We
that.
love you for it. Sean, wrap this up for us. Give us a final button.
Well, you know, for at least 25 years, I've been coming to conventions. And, you know, these are paid public appearance for us. And my parents, who are famous actors, never really got to experience the connecting directly, personally, individually with their fans. You know, my mom had a big, what they used to call a TV queue, which the network execs would look at to see, you know, who did America want to watch? You know, and my mom was one of the 9 or 10 women who regularly would do movies of the week because she had a high TV queue. But the idea of the audience was I wouldn't say it's an abstraction in a bad way, but it was an idea of an audience. We have seen personally, individually, at least for me, at least 25 years, the legacy that you talk about, the impact that people have. Like they carve it, like Robert said, into their bodies because it means so much. It's like they want to take that feeling, that feeling of innocence, that feeling of hope, of adventure, of childhood, of whimsy, of home. They want it. It's heart. It's all heart. No matter how goofy and slapsticky and broad comedy it is, underneath the engine that's running is about heart. And so the first words you said today were about the 80s.
Yeah?
This is a time capsule piece that for all
That's
time, when some kid is going through the mud of Egypt in Astoria or whatever, Warner Brothers lot in LA, this captured a moment in time, a mood, an idea, a feeling, a way of being. And I appreciate what you said, Robert, that it's an American. Both of you said this. It's an American special little thing. You know, I normally think of a classic as like Lawrence of Arabia or Casablanca or something like that. But this is like a people's classic. That people love this story.
And thank you for celebrating your 40th anniversary with us. We'll see you all in Return of the Goonies. Woo!
War and Peace.
Thank you.
How awesome was that? Totally cool.